Hey everybody, it's afternoon again for day 25. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. my time for a webinar that I then proceeded to fall asleep for, but there should be a recording this morning. So I was too tired to get up extra early and do one of these videos before I went into town. So I'm back at home before my son gets home from school, and figured it's the perfect amount of time really, for another daily spread session. So let's get going. All right, so this was yesterday's spread for day 24, I believe. Did I write that down? This was day 22, day 23, day 24. And now I'm moving on to day 25. So I'm feeling inky again. I'm feeling like using some inks. I've also got my watercolors here. I've got my gouache here, some markers here. Speaking of markers, this is an Ecoline watercolor marker. And I'm going to add some marks there. And then I'm going to bring in my watercolor brush and just smudge that around. It's pretty cool to watch it kind of dissolve and disperse, and there's an echo there. And then I'm also going to drag some water across the page. It's not as hot. The sun is not really out today. It's been kind of a cloudy day, so it's not as hot and quick drying as it was the other day. However, it is still pretty dry, or still drying pretty quickly, I have to say. So now I'm just kind of taking a look from the side to see where the water puddles still are. And I'm going to drop in some of this ink. And I'm going to do some right there. I really love the way that ink spreads. It's super fun, super delicious. And I am feeling like bringing in some gouache. So I've got this red gouache here from my pans, my Caran d'Ache panned gouache, as opposed to the tube gouache. That is so popular for a good reason. I love the tube gouache too. And now I'm going to drop in some more ink. So see where else I can add some. I have my head down kind of level with the page so I can see what's happening. That one is kind of making its way into the wetter parts of the paper, it looks like. So I've got some inks down. I am bringing back the watercolor, the Ecoline watercolor marker. And this is just purely intuitive, meaning I didn't sit down and plan. I didn't say I'm going to use these colors. I didn't say I'm going to have a particular composition. I didn't even say I'm going to try and make this balanced or any sort of thing, any sort of such thing. Instead, I've simply sat down and spread out some materials in front of me. Speaking of materials, I'm coming back in with this paintbrush and adding a little bit more water in a couple places. I have another ink that I'm going to drop in here. There. And there. Just to let that all move about. I really am loving those colors. That is super fun, super juicy. And same thing over here. I do kind of want those spreads to connect a little more, so add some up here. And I haven't played with these inks for a long time. These were one of the first things that I hid away in my storage area when we moved into smaller places over the last year or so. Just because, you know, they do take up more space, and so I was trying to use the more compact supplies, like the watercolor set, you know, a couple watercolor sets that are small that I can just kind of keep around instead of needing to keep, like, this isn't even all my inks, this is just a few of my inks, but they take up they take up a lot of space. And now I'm bringing in, so this is acrylic paint mixed with water and something called Flow Aid, and I'm just feeling like adding it to a couple different places. And I'm just going to drag this across here. See what happens. Add a little more here, add some more up here. It's really cool to see how the acrylic and the Flow Aid are interacting with the other inks and the water and other media. So that is fun. I'm just popping these little air bubbles here. I'm gonna do some little dots, it feels like. And same thing. And part of the reason that I experimented with this combination of the acrylic and the Flow Aid is because I saw a recipe, I think in one of Jane Davenport's groups online, and someone was likening the consistency to paint pen consistency. And I have found myself at times with my Posca paint pens not using them as paint pens, but simply using them for the consistency of the paint that's inside, and just kind of squirting some of that out and then smearing it around. So I figured if I was going to do that, I might as well just create my own paint pen consistency media, and yeah, see what happens. Here's where I'm kind of wishing I had a spray bottle, which I don't have. I do have yet another ink here, so I am kind of looking from the side close to the paper and seeing where I can add in yet another ink color. Just like there. And there. Again, no agenda as to what this is going to be or why or where. Just letting the colors kind of do their own thing. And kind of feeling like adding some little extra color in there for whatever reason. Just using my finger to add these marks. And I actually kind of wish I had something to soak up that puddle, though I don't. So next I am feeling like a little more gouache maybe. I'm going to use this flat Prince of Neptune watercolor brush. And what color does it feel like? It feels like I'm going to grab some of this green, this light green. I'm really just kind of adding it in a few places. Smush, smush, smush. And it's feeling a little heavy on the green, but I'm feeling like I still want to add it in there. So I'm kind of just moving around the page. And feeling into where else to add the color that's on my brush, which is something I do a lot, is I will just feel compelled to use a certain color. And so I will put that color on my brush or wherever. Here, I'm going to soak some of this up with my brush. And then I'm going to add in some yellow gouache right there. I'm going to add some more up here and there. Yeah, so I will just load up my brush with a color or have a supply in hand and then just intuitively move around the page or the canvas and add whatever I feel like adding. So here I've got this pink. I don't feel like dabbing it. I feel like using a brush, so I am going to use a brush. Just gonna dip my brush into this container and then add bits wherever it feels appropriate. And again, appropriate not meaning in a specific way. Just in terms of feeling, like, I don't know, does this feel fun? Does it feel just that sense of rightness that you just feel kind of home, like, yes, this mark feels home here. Yeah, so I just keep dipping my brush into this container and then adding where it feels good. Where the mark feels home. I'm putting the marks, bringing the marks home, I guess, is one way to kind of explain, if you can explain. And that is feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like just a little bit more pink here. And there. And there. I'm just going to add a little more here and here. And that feels like it is complete for today. So I will move this and get out of the way. All right, coming on down from the sky. There we go. And moving in. This is super wet. You're gonna see a lot of glistening and puddling. Today's piece was really inky and goofy and fun. So I am just gonna leave it out on the porch here to dry. And here we go from the top. And that's it for day 25. So we are so close to the end of this 30-day journey. And as I mentioned before, I'm not sure where this is going to go after. I'm just staying tuned in and continuing to create space and generate momentum in this creative space. And I'll let you know when I do. I'll see you tomorrow.